wish I was sitting there with you guys.
Oh, well, I wish I was going on vacation like you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, good to go.
Great. So we're going to call this meeting to order. It's a special meeting, June 17, 2022 at 9 a.m. Present is myself, Bob Carlson, the first selectman. Also with me here at Town Hall is Brett Mastriani, selectman, and not here but on Zoom is Nicole Porter, selectwoman. I guess we're not going to do the pledge because I don't have a flag, so we'll omit the pledge today. Public comments on non-agenda items. Is there any public comment on a non-agenda item? Okay, seeing none. Old business, Infinite Visions update. So I did send both you, Brett, and Nicole yesterday the correspondence we got back from Kathy Conroy, and pretty much what we would owe at this point would be, there was 2 or 3 training sessions that were set up that they were going to, if they could move their trainer to another time, they would do that and not charge us. If there was, I know there's one set for today that we probably would pay for, but it was a very small fee to get out without having to get attorneys involved, and no other, there was no other things that we weren't obligated to pay the fees. So after receiving that email, we decided that, and with the information we received from the 2 of you at the last meeting, that said pretty much, if we don't have to pay additional fees, you're good with us canceling it. We signed a letter of cancellation. Do you have any comments, either Brett or Nicole, on that?
Not particularly. I'm very happy to hear that that it's going to be a simple getting out of the contract. I think it's unfortunate, but I think it's the best thing for the town.
I happen to agree, and I also would take notice of Brett's point at the last meeting that down the road, if we have something like ClearGov or something that comes our way that makes sense, and we do our due diligence, look at it, and get Christine and Susan and other people involved that have to use it, then it would make sense to at least look at something else. But I think we're okay with what we have for now. And I knew we just signed paperwork to bring in, was it Time Clock Plus, Christine? Yep. Which I think is going to make us totally up to date when it comes to that service of have people be able to punch in, they'd be able to see, request time off. Right now, I get handed papers that I have to sign to say, yes, you can hit that day off, and so on, and just upgrades us to being where we need to be on that side. So I think that's all good. Brett, do you have any other comments on this?
No, I mean, I'm glad we're moving forward and it's working out. I think it's a little petty of the company to charge us for those trainings, knowing that they promised us some features that the software doesn't have. So I just want to make that known.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I was also looking for the picking my battles to fight, and I didn't want to get we have enough money with attorney fees at this point. I just didn't want to have to go down that road if we could stay away from it. Okay, any comment from online on that Infinite Visions update? Okay.
Bob, actually, it's just a quick question. So we had the open gov before. We have something that is going to be able to provide that same transparency without going with Infinite Visions. So there, to the townspeople, there will still be an opportunity to have the same opportunity that we had before, even though we're not going live with Infinite Visions.
So the answer to that is no, we don't have something like that. But to be honest with you, Nicole, the amount of people from town that looked at OpenGov, I didn't even get on OpenGov myself, and I was a selectman at the time when we had it. It was very complicated, and it gave you such bare information. There was no way to really dig into the different departments and get to the nuts and bolts on where the numbers are actually coming from, which is one of the reasons why we looked to get out of OpenGov. That was another case where it's not so much what was promised we didn't get, because I think we got what we were promised. We just didn't utilize it correctly, and there wasn't enough training, and I don't think the general public knew how to get, most of the people that pay attention to meetings had no knowledge on how to get on that. And I said, even being a selectman, I didn't know how to get on it myself half the time. So no, I guess we're gonna use QuickBooks like we have in the past, and through our efforts as selectmen, just get that information out the best we can.
I thought Christine mentioned for transparency that she could post some of the reports.
Yes, that is something that
on the
Christine's going to
website.
do. Christine, will you jump in there? And
Yep, so I'm going to work with Jim to identify a place on the website to post the monthly reports that go to the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen. As far as the profit and loss statement, we also refer to it as the manager's report. So that shows where we are compared to year-to-date actuals compared to the budget for all the line items. So we'll start doing that for the next fiscal year.
Yeah, and frankly, that's fantastic. It sounds like with the challenges with the past situations, that this actually might be more helpful to the public. I really am glad. Obviously, the minutes today will reflect the fact that we're going to be doing that, and the public knows that they're going to be able to go on just the town website and be able to see those. Frankly, it sounds like with a lot less obstacles than before. So thank you. That's great, Christine.
And actually, that kind of is a segue into old business B, which is administrative services, town and school discussion, which happened yesterday with myself, Christine Dias, Christine Wagner, Paul Simon, and the new superintendent, Troy Hopkins. Those discussions I thought went very well. I see Paul online, so I'm going to actually ask to have him speak in a few minutes. But the big thing there was, again, the transparency piece and giving the dates to the Board of Ed and the central office that when reports have to be done, and there has to be reports sent on a regular basis to the Board of Finance, which wasn't happening, as well as to Town Hall. So we haven't had reconciliations on things since January. And now they're trying to do a catch up, which even if people weren't leaving, they were constantly behind in their reporting. We even had cases where our town treasurer went over there to sign things and they weren't ready to be signed. And he'd say, okay, I'll come back the next day. And they go, oh, we don't have anyone there the next day. Can you come back on Friday? Like, okay, so what is it? Is it convenient for you? Is that when we're coming back? So I think that with the new superintendent, he heard this loud and clear, and he announced that he's going to push to make sure this doesn't happen, that there's going to be more timeliness and more reporting done by the Board of Ed to the Board of Finance and the town. So I think that piece too, Nicole, is going to add it with the transparency of what we're trying to do with this board. So I think that was a positive. Also, there's going to be some cross training done with both Town Hall and central office. We're sending our account journalist Susan over there on Monday to work for an hour and a half or so with the Suzanne, is that her name? Suzanne, who's leaving, and we're going to go and help them to get the payroll done, so we know that it does get done. And also, so Infinite Visions, which we just left, there is some good to that, because since the school's on that and Susan is trained on it, as well as Christine to a point, that we'll be able to go in there and help because of that training. So even though we're not staying with Infinite Visions, we're not ignorant of Infinite Visions. We know how it works. So that helps with that. Also, we're going to have Jim Russell, who's going to help with their IT department, keeping their website up. That's one thing that they said never would be, it was never kept up. There's actually jobs on there that were closed a while ago that I found out yesterday that are still on there. So the Jim is going, they pay a small stipend to have someone control, keep up with their website, and Jim's going to apply to get that and do that for them. So that's something that Greg will not have to do anymore. So there's two ways right there that the town is going to be working with the school. And we expect through that cross training where we'll have the new people come over here to Town Hall once in a while. We'll send our people over there once in a while, so that we never get stuck again where you get people that are leaving and there's no one in town that knows how to do their job. So I think that's that will also be a positive. Christine, as far as yesterday's meeting, do you want to add to, and I'll ask Paul Simon also to jump in.
No, I mean, it was a good discussion. Good, I think moving forward, we'll have good open communication. I think that's the most important piece that we've been missing. So I think, they're open to the discussion, see how things are moving once they get new people in place. And then if changes need to be made down the road, then we'll revisit that conversation.
Were you confident too, when you heard the superintendent speak, that we were going to keep the idea of changing the reporting charts and organizational chart down the road to be a constant discussion in the next few months, to say if that makes sense to go that direction, that he'd be willing to listen and to go that direction?
Yeah, I think, there'll definitely be that open line of communication. But I do think it is harder to make changes once you have people in place. But we'll see how everything goes.
Right. Hi, Paul. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Where the heck are you? You got this blackout screen behind you.
That's my new paint, my slate blue paint in my office at home. Maybe. How's that? That help?
There it is. Yep. Yeah. I thought you were in the studio at one point. So
Yeah, this is just
yeah,
the same old place. I turn you away from all this shit on my desk. So
got it.
excuse me. I'm beg your pardon. I'm public. I apologize for cursing online. Yeah. So I thought the meeting was great with Troy. Great to meet him. I think he has. It's going to be a fresh set of eyes on things. He was very receptive to any kind of enhancements we were suggesting. I think, them putting folks in place in these roles, while it's not the home run that a few of us had thought right off the bat, at least he's willing to, once folks are in place, a change in reporting structure is possible. So it's easy to give everybody a new supervisor and have below kind of stay the same. So I don't know if that's going to be that much more difficult to change down the road, but he's open to it. Making it harder down the road, it's going to be a change. If someone gets a new boss, I mean, we've all gotten new bosses in our lives. It happens, but the support structure could remain the same. And it was clear with both the Board of Ed and even the town side that no one felt there was going to be an elimination of roles or getting rid of some roles. So I think this is the best spot we probably could have hoped for after talking with the whole team that day. But knowing that he is going to put his stamp on this thing, like you said, and Christine Wagner being open to it, understanding the gaps that she had in the past. So pretty good for the 45-minute meeting we had. This issue has been on for many, many years. So we're not going to correct it all day one, I reckon.
And we will be meeting again July, the same group, and bringing back information to our board. So what we'll do is before that meeting, I'll solicit my board we'll have a discussion, the Board of Selectmen meeting before that meeting, we did this last time, have questions that they'd like to bring up or things they've observed since the new superintendent's on board and whoever else is new in that office.
Yeah.
And we can then take that information to that meeting. And then after that meeting, do a follow-up with our boards again. That makes sense. And I saw you sent a letter out to your board already. And I'm sure
Yeah,
you
just full disclosure. I want to tell them what we're doing, the road we're heading down. I was happy to hear that these new roles in the school will not be contracted gigs. They're going to be at-will employees. I was comfortable with that. And this dotted line relationship to the town and the superintendent that we were talking about, seems like that wasn't off the table either. So hopefully good things to come, but like you said, in the coming months will be critical. If we see same old, then shame on us. But if we see some change, it's great for the town of North Stonington.
And we did speak to Christine Wagner, and we brought up things like when I call it the Brooklyn plan, Brooklyn model.
Yeah.
We're talking about Brooklyn, Connecticut, not New York. And so at least it's out there. So Christine Wagner knows what we're thinking. The superintendent knows what we're thinking. Also, I'm going to be with the superintendent the better part of the day on the 23rd, doing a tour around town, and I'll have a captive audience in my truck. So you won't be able to go anywhere.
Great.
You'll be able to listen to some feedback. So what I think we do now is we've got the other two selectmen online, and then I say hand up by Stephanie Mastrani. So
No, that's your mouse.
Oh, never mind. Stephanie Mastering does not have her hand up. So, okay, I have not run a Zoom meeting in a while. But I'm glad I got my technician right here to tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Jack of all trades there.
So, Brett, Nicole, you want to give us some feedback?
I have a little feedback, obviously. I'm glad that the communication seems to be moving in the right direction, where they're open to fixing some of the issues from before and having open line of communications. I think the superintendents will do a great job. I'm a little disappointed that we couldn't talk more about the fundamental structure changes. And I know it doesn't happen overnight, and none of these changes do, but at some point you have to do a heavy lift to affect the change that you want to see. Especially when I've talked to the other towns that have done it. I think part of this structure change, once you hire, and we're talking probably with benefits and everything, about $200,000 worth of expenses for these two positions they're still moving forward with in the same structure they were, that it does become a difficult thing to change down the road. And going into the meeting, I was hoping that we would come out of it talking about some possible structure changes. I understand that didn't happen, and maybe down the road it will. I still am hesitant to believe that the Board of Ed chair had an open mind to it from the letter that she sent out to her board prior. But I'm glad that you opened up the discussion, but I still would publicly push for more of that change before rather than later. And, you know, I look at one of the things that you talked about, that we didn't have our report since January and those kind of things, yet at the same time, that position had a $15,000 increase, and they weren't doing those roles. So I just worry about how that plays out, but I'm confident in you and Paul that these discussions can move forward.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna let them die, Brett. I think there's too much, there's too much of a positive, you know, we look at some of the other town plans to just let this fall by the wayside. I think it's, and again, when I say this is the time to probably make that change, I don't mean like tomorrow, but I think this is the time with all these new people coming in. So whether that time is 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, but I think the town should look at better ways to do business, better ways to be more streamlined and more efficient. Sometimes it doesn't, financially, it doesn't give the town a financial windfall right off the bat, but through down the road, through being more efficient, it probably would. And as far as with the cross training, the reporting, more transparency, I think yesterday we talked about Christina doing a list to give to the new central office and say, these are the reports and this is when they're due, and we want them done on those days. And superintendent bought into that. So is that correct, Christina?
So
Yeah, so I think we'll have a much better and easier time, and with having everyone on board and supporting whatever that decision is that's made, then we'll have more of an emphasis on getting things done on time and making sure that everything is more efficient on both sides.
right, that's good. So the conversation that you had prior, where they mentioned that they would potentially change the title back to business manager and look at the salary again, did you get any confirmation on that?
The superintendent brought up yesterday, he thought that he showed us where the business manager title was actually more prestigious than the director of finance, as far as having, was it the 085 certification? It was odd that they have two applicants. I can't say much about them because I don't know much about them. Two applicants that are both interviewing next Wednesday. But they felt that the title wasn't as important, but they also felt that, all right, so if we put someone as a director of finance for the town, we may have to change that title to something else. So the director of finance from the school would then still be part of the reporting to the director of finance of town. And then they both are reporting to the superintendent when they're talking about school.
With the other titles that they have their director of facilities and their director of IT. So that was why it wasn't aligning with other districts. It was to align the job titles within districts so that they had, I think they didn't think it made sense to have those people report to a business manager if they were a director of something and a director of something. So that's why, to have it all be the same on their org chart, they are retaining the director of finance job title.
Doesn't the director of technology and the director of facilities report to, well, now the director of finance?
Right. So that's why they're all directors. That's why they're having those. It's for continuity on their side, and that's up for them to decide.
Okay.
So you're saying there's a director reporting to a director?
A director reporting to a director.
But
Yeah.
do they report to that person, or do they report directly to the superintendent?
No, they report to that person.
They do. So that's where the facilities manager reports and the grounds manager reports? But we're changing.
We're not talking about grounds. We're talking about director of facilities and director of information technology.
Okay. All right, thank you. Nicole, did you want to chime in here at all?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely understand, Brett, where you'd be a little bit disappointed with kind of where you want to go with this, and where we were all thinking, would benefit the town. I have a little bit of a difference of opinion in the fact that I think this is a great first step. I think that the cross training that's going to start to take place, I think the building the trust in between the town and the new administration with the school system is going to be allowed to really be fostered with this plan. And I think as that progresses, I think we're going to be in a much better place in the future to put some type of shared structure in place. I think this is a great first step, and I'm thrilled that some of the things that had been falling through the cracks will be in place. And again, just that sharing and that cross training of staff is going to make a world of difference. So I think it's a great first step. I think this is going to be a huge culture change for the town and the school. And I think, again, this is just a great first step, and we're going to need to be patient while we kind of foster those new relationships. So pleased, and definitely look forward to future conversations.
And one thing that, Nicole, I didn't understand until just recently is just the personal relationships between town hall employees and the school aren't great. At least with the ones that are leaving. We're thinking when we get these new people in, not only introduce them, but maybe do something of a social nature to get the people from the central office and the people from town hall to get to know each other a little bit better. So
Yeah,
somewhere out of work, just to maybe share a glass of wine and chat and get to know each other, because it's a shame that when we call the central office, the pushback we get and the attitude we get is crazy. I never did know that existed until I came to this office. So, and it does exist. And I think we want to build those. I think that's actually kind of came down from the top. And I think that we're going to, with this new personality as a superintendent, I think we're going to be able to forge better relationships of a personal nature. That, I mean, everyone in town hall, both buildings get along great. And we're in separate buildings. There's no difference between that and the people that are sitting down at that building. So I think that will go a long way to have us work together if we all like each other.
Right. Anything that can get the us versus them mindset moving forward and get rid of that, I think is helpful. So that's great.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And definitely, I think the more we can intermingle and the more we can get to know each other. And as Paul said, there's nothing like a new leadership in place to kind of take advantage of some of those opportunities that we might not have had in the past, or it might have been a little bit more challenging in the past. So I think we should do everything possible to again make everybody feel like this. We are one team, all marching in the same direction of what is best for the town, what is best for the town's children, and I think that really great things can come of that in the future.
So You expect the cross training to start soon? Is that?
Well, considering we're sending Susan over there on Monday.
Okay, right.
I think it's pretty soon.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that's a key to actually moving this forward at some point down the road too, is, you know, even we run short here at town hall and they run short there based on vacation schedules or somebody out sick or someone leaving. So I think that's a necessity to help our town.
Yeah, so Susan's going there Monday, and Christine, correct me, Jim's gonna reach out to them as far as the IT stuff, the website, correct?
He reached out yesterday.
Perfect. All right, Paul, you have your hand up. Did you want to comment?
I do, please, just that, that one bit about the $200,000 quote that Brett had. Brett, was that based on current salary structure for those 2 vacant roles?
Current salary and benefits, yes.
Okay, so my expectation, I don't know if this is going to be true, that we would treat these roles much like we would do with a teacher coming in, maybe an early step, if that's even a thing. And the salaries wouldn't be as high, but TBD. But luckily we have people from town on the hiring committee and likely the subsequent offer, I would imagine.
All right, so just so you know, Paul, as far when you brought up the teachers, so they don't all come at the first step.
Well,
So-
lower step. I mean, not
But
the rock
they
star
don't
level.
always come at the lowest step either. So if someone
But-
leaves, so a young teacher is on the 3rd step, she's expecting, she leaves, she's out, and she's gonna leave her job. The only person they find is someone that has all this experience. They could come in on the 5th step, depending on, so they look at what the candidate is bringing to the table, and then they decide what step they're on. Or
Right.
as the teachers go.
That's not lost on me, Bob, at all. But assuming that the old business manager / director was rock star level, top of the rung, would you expect that someone would come in at that level? I would not.
I agree with you.
That's the only comment I was making.
Well, I'll put it this way, you're talking about the level of job expectancy or the actual level of the person that was leaving? Never mind, I didn't say that. Forget it.
Yeah, so I mean, right. So there's
Talking salary.
I'm talking salary.
really talking salary. Yeah. So I mean,
I'm not talking.
with the long-term vision in place that there's likely or potentially a new reporting construct, we should be aware of that. So one thing I am going to do, I'll let you guys know first, I am going to craft a note to Troy and to Christine W. about before offers are made or more pushes are built into the town budget, town/Board of Ed budget. I'd like to know if someone from the Board of Finance could be part of those discussions, similar to what we do with teachers' contracts, admin contracts, janitorial contracts. Even though this is not a contract, this is could be a budget pressure. So I don't know if we'll get any kind of resistance to that or acceptance of that. But
I would be careful because by statute, the Board of Finance has to be let into the teacher negotiation, but that's it. So.
Yeah, no, I'm saying we can ask the question, right? And I'm not afraid to ask the question. They can tell me about pound sand, knowing that if the budget changes for line items, it has a bottom line issue. So that's where I'm going.
Look at that CASBO, and if you look online and you look at some of those backup documents, there are some structures and some conversations that Board of Ed does include Board of Finance members or selectmen in some of those discussions. And most of a few that I've seen talk about that they actually have them, like you're going to participate in the hiring committee. There are samples of that where there is always someone either from the town side or the Board of Finance side that is on those two, just to bring the continuity to it.
Yeah, I
So
think
it's not far out of the realm, I don't think, is Paul's request.
I don't think it's way outside of anything, especially since there's so many executive sessions used and there isn't any kind of outside intervention to many of their discussions. But again, I didn't get that sense from Troy that everything is going to be hidden in secrecy. I would imagine this to be accepted, but I don't know. We'll find out.
Okay.
Bob, just, as you have future meetings with them, and, I am a little bit wary, Paul, of kind of your ask as well. But it absolutely does not hurt to ask. I think it's going to be important that as we move forward and we kind of form these really cohesive relationships with them, that we understand where in the past, what behaviors in the past were observed or feared, that kind of created this us versus them feeling. And I think it's going to be really important to come together with compromises on what, just to identify what caused that in the past and how can we move forward. Completely agree that does not hurt to ask, but I think we need to make sure that we're kind of forming that ask really carefully as far as why. And as a financial consultant on the, in those discussions, and a kind of a holder of and a responsible person for the money in the town, I think that there's absolutely benefit from having somebody from the Board of Finance in some of those discussions. But I want to have us be really careful that we're not overstepping bounds and respecting what they have done very well in the past, and really want to try and form those really good relationships in the future so that we're not running into these same challenges.
Right. No, I think this will go a long way to say, are we going to walk the walk or talk the talk for transparency? So I'll certainly take your comments in mind, Nicole. I appreciate them, and yours too, Christine. But let's see how it goes.
So Paul, I'm going to echo what Nicole just said. I think it's the way we ask. It's not the ask.
I think you're right.
We ask. So we know in the past that there was what's behind the curtain. We didn't always see what was behind the curtain because I think that that group that came, and Peter did a great job when he came in, but he also brought in a knowledge of his past and how things were done there. And I think that there was a lot of, and I think that's where the us versus them came. And I think Nicole's just saying that we don't want to get off on the wrong foot by immediately just showing distrust for the new people when we haven't had a reason to distrust them. If we didn't feel like we got all the information from the past group, well, that was the past group. So I think it's not so much what we're asking for, it's how we're asking for it. That's all.
Guys, I understand. I mean, this is not any different than I think Christine D being part of it. That never would have happened unless we asked, right? So noted. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other comments on old business B?
Nope.
Okay. All right. So moving forward, number 5, call for a special town meeting. Christine, I don't have a copy of the call. Did one come out? Because I never saw one in the packet, nor did I get a copy.
I emailed it to you yesterday morning.
Oh, do you have a copy? I can't print them, so.
Draft call.
Guys, I'm heading to my 9:30 meeting. Have a great day.
Thank you, Paul.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Paul.
Bye-bye. Hey, Nicole, have a good vacation.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
So you emailed it, but I might not have printed it, and then I couldn't print it because the printer's been down.
So
So
do we have to make a motion based, do we have to read the whole thing for the motion? Is that?
You have to read the whole thing. And so part that I want to just make sure you guys are on board with is the note under the location, date, and time, which says only those attending the meeting in person will be able to vote. The meeting will be available for comment and viewing through Zoom at the link below, but those attending virtually, and then this is underlined, will not be able to vote.
Right.
So
Yeah, I see that the only change that I would suggest would be available for public comment instead of just comment.
Okay, I will make that revision.
So I don't mind reading it since I have it there. So I make a motion that we accept and call the town meeting as drafted, which says warning is hereby given to the electors of those entitled to vote at town meeting of the town of North Stonington, that a special town meeting be held at the following location on the date and time indicated for the purpose of transacting the business set forth below. Location, North Stonington Education Center, Media Center, 298 Norwich Westerly Road, June 27th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Only those attending in the meeting in person will be able to vote. The meeting will be available for public comment and viewing through Zoom at the link below, but those attending virtually will not be able to vote. Number one, shall the town of North Stonington have permission to lease a portion of 298 Norwich Westerly Road to an early childhood education center, subject to final review of lease agreement by town attorney? Number two, shall the town approve $100,000 in American Rescue Plan Act funds to replace lost public sector revenue and fund a small business program as prepared by the Economic Development Commission? Number three, shall the town approve $120,000 in American Rescue Plan Act funds to replace lost public revenue and fund the operating expenses for 298 Norwich Westerly Road through June 30th, 2022? Four, to hear and act upon the following resolution. Resolved that the Board of Selectmen is hereby authorized and empowered to obtain loans at current interest rates for loans to municipalities in anticipation of the receipt of tax collections and in anticipation of the receipt of federal and/or state grants with respect to project or program on such terms and conditions as follows. A, the amount borrowed shall not exceed $1 million at any one time. And B, the Board of Finance shall receive as early as possible prior notification of any borrowing. The Board of Selectmen is further authorized and empowered to execute any and all documents necessary and required. All the supporting documentation will be available on the town website. Signed, Board of Selectmen, Brett Mastrani, Robert Carlson, and Nicole Porter.
Okay, that's a motion. I will second the motion as read.
So I would just like to add underneath, all supporting documentation will be available on the town website, then the statement Zoom link for viewing and public comment only, and then that's where I will insert the Zoom link. Is that okay as far as placement?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put it in the top for the location like we used to, because that told people that they could attend the meeting that way and vote.
And where will you put the piece in the public comment?
So it's in the second sentence, in the first paragraph, it's going to say the meeting will be available for public comment and viewing through Zoom at the link below. And then under all supporting documentation, right before it says your names, we'll have the Zoom link for viewing and public comment only and the link.
Okay, so will you motion that as amended, bro?
Motion. Do we have to motion? Because that's not part of the call of the meeting, the Zoom link.
No, okay.
You're good.
All right, so it's been seconded. Nicole, any discussion?
Nope, I'm fine.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
The only one comment I want to make is I do think it's important, as Nicole mentioned at our meeting when we talked about the vote only in person, that we make sure it's well posted, even online and on social media, that people understand that. I just think as much awareness we can get to that, the better.
agreed. Good, that's a good point. Thank you. We'll get also, we can get town meeting signs out next week. And Nicole, would you be able to, I know you're heading out of town, would you be able to swing by and sign this prior to heading out?
When does Nicole get back? Because we can't print right now. So
Oh, well, can we print it across the way?
yes.
Yeah. What time are you heading out, Nicole?
Rod, 10:30. We're probably leaving the house around 10:30.
All right, do you want, if we have an original, I can either run it up to your house, or if you could run by, we can have you sign it before you head out.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you, when will it be ready? Because I literally can leave the house now and swing by.
We can have
That's
it.
fine. I'll have it ready.
We'll have it ready.
Okay, very well. I mean, not now. We'll finish our meeting.
Okay, goodbye. All right, super. All right, thanks, Nicole, for that. Anything, public comments? Okay, next meeting, not counting the town meeting on the 27th, is June 28th, 2022, a regular meeting at 6:30. And that concludes the meeting. unless-
Motion to adjourn.
Perfect. Second?
I second, third, whatever.
Great, thank you. All right.
All right, I'll see you in a couple of minutes.
The meeting now is adjourned at 9:32. Thank you.